Hi guys, my name is Nonima Digela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about who Judge Ratha Mokgoatlheng is. Justice Ratha Mokgoatlheng. That is what we are going to talk about. Judge Ratha Mokgoatlheng is a very layered figure, struggle times activist, professional footballer, Kaizer Chiefs co-founder, seasoned defense lawyer, and now a controversial High Court judge whose handling of the Senzo Meyiwa trial has drawn both praise and outrage. Praise from where? Okay, let's break it down. Let's break it down and talk about that. We're going to talk about his background, career, judicial style, and what all of that says about his work ethic. All right. Before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end, and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you'll be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into the origins. Alexandra, Soweto, politics and football. That's what we will start with. Early life and education. He was born in Alexandra Township, Johannesburg, but raised in Soweto. Attended Madibane High School, where he excelled both academically and in sport, especially football. He later studied law. Apparently, he studied in my hometown in Fort Hare University. That university in Asekai, yes, that's where he started. He studied. Okay. There is a summary of his formal legal qualification that eventually led to practice and later judicial appointment. He got that one, University of Fort Hare. Okay, let's talk about struggle politics, civic activism. In the late 1970s and 1980s, he was part of the Soweto resistance structures. After 1976, working alongside figures like Dr. Thato Motlana and community organizations opposing apartheid abuses, including police brutality against students. Okay, he knows about that. This background is important. He does not come from the conservative establishment. He comes from militant anti-apartheid civic politics. Seriously? Okay, this research is surprising me too. So I'm going to be doing facials, guys, because I didn't want to read it before I'm coming here, because I also want to be shocked with you on some instances. After internal dispute at Pirates, he was among the figures who co-founded Kaizer Chiefs with Kaizer Motaung after being expelled from Orlando Pirates. Multiple profile frame him as from football star to the bench, emphasizing a dual identity, footballer and later judge. What this tells us about his personality and ethic: competitive, performance-driven, comfortable with crowds, used to hero culture environments, football, struggle politics, where strong personalities dominate. Carries a self-image of someone who's fought through adversity, which I like that it's like this. It's in inverted commas. I don't know why. It says fought through adversity, which later feeds into the way he talks down to lawyers in court. Okay. Okay. Legal career from defense lawyer to high court judge, advocate and a practitioner. Before becoming a judge, Ratha worked for decades as a criminal defense lawyer, not as a prosecutor. Hang on a sec, who was being defended by him? Yeah, this one, I don't trust him, but okay, let's go. Let's go. I didn't want to do this. I just did a research and I was like, I'm not going to touch it until I'm in front of you. Okay, profile describe him as a seasoned trial lawyer, handling serious criminal matters, which shaped his courtroom confidence and his tendency to lecture practitioners from the bench. This background is visible every day in the Meyiwa trial. He often cross-examined counsel on basics of evidence law and court procedure, and if he's still the senior defense, as if he's still the senior defense counsel in the room. I have a lot of things to say, but okay. Judicial appointment and roles. Served as an acting judge for about 3 years before formal appointment. Appointed as a permanent judge on the High Court, Johannesburg, on 30 May 2007. Excuse me. Okay, he was a defense lawyer for long. Okay. Has sat in serious criminal trials and appeals, and his name appears in judgment dealing with violent and organized crime. Though many public profiles doesn't list every case, just note that he presides over high-profile matters. Appointment to Senzo Meyiwa trial. In 2023, he was appointed to take over the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial from Judge Chifuwa Maumela. Media framed him as a former soccer star presiding over a Senzo Meyiwa trial, meaning the public knows him more as the colorful personality than quiet technocratic judge. Judicial style and work ethic, what the record shows. Let's split this into positive and negatives and structural red flags. Okay. Number one, positive in his work ethic from supporters and neutral observers. Number one, hardworking and trial focused. He is described as deeply engaged in the Meyiwa trial, driving it forward, pushing against delays, and interrogating issues around postponements, absentee lawyers, and time wasting. Judgments and news reports show him resisting repeated postponements, even when the Defense Council cite health, logistic, or other commitments, e.g. Comrades Marathon incident. This fits an ethic of trial must proceed. Justice delayed is justice denied. All right. Secondly, prepared and detail-driven. Reports on early days of his appointment said he taught defense lawyers a thing or two, suggesting he comes to court well-read, on the record and legal principles, frequently correcting counsel. Number three, capacity to self-correct. Following his controversial race outburst about Black law professionals and state dysfunction, he later gave a public on-record apology. In court, Judges Matter, which monitors the judicial, explicitly welcomed his heartfelt apology and said it showed respect for accountability, even though concerns about his comments remain. Did they say Judges Matter, which monitors? Why are they not monitoring him and his behaviors in that courtroom? From pure work ethic, lens, apologizing publicly on camera and hyper-politicized trial is not easy. It suggests he does care about his record and about how the institution is perceived, even if he loses his temper. Okay. Shukuti, you don't watch that case, ne? Let's deal with number two, point number two, negative and controversies, where his ethics are questioned. His work ethic is questioned. This is where your interest probably lies. Yes, mine too. I know yours lies there. One, racially charged comments about Black professionals. During the Meyiwa trial, he launched into a rant about the state of South Africa run by Blacks and made remarks that were widely read as racially charged and disparaging of Black lawyers and professionals. The Law Society of South Africa and other legal bodies strongly criticized his comments and called on the Judicial Services Commission to examine his conduct. There have been calls for his recusal from the Meyiwa trial on the basis that such remarks show bias and undermine confidence in his impartiality. Ethical implication: a judge publicly generalizing about Black professionals while presiding over a case with Black accused, Black lawyers, and Black police officers creates a serious perception problem. It suggests he sees Black incompetence everywhere except perhaps in the police or himself. That clashes with judicial ethics of impartiality and respect. Hostile, personalized exchanges with counsel. Several incidents show him openly berating a defense counsel, telling advocate Charles Mnisi, you shut up in exclusive exchange reportedly widely in late 2025. Outbursts directed at Advocate Mshololo and others questioning their professionalism in sharp public terms. These are not gentle judicial corrections. They are adversarial emotional clashes bordering on humiliation. Ethical implication: a judge is allowed to be firm, but ethics require dignity and courtesy. Persistent public dressing down of specific counsel starts to look like personal animus. Especially dangerous in a long trial where counsel must feel safe to challenge the judge's reasoning. Perception of bias is in favor of the state or police. In the Meyiwa trial, he has on multiple occasions praised senior police like Brigadier Geninda, emphasizing their experience and integrity, while being much harsher to the defense witnesses and arguments. You picked up on this already, you guys. You know about all of that. Some legal commentators and bodies have argued that his comments and rulings risk losing impartiality and turning him into a quasi-state ally rather than an independent arbiter. Ethical implication: even if he genuinely believes the police witnesses are credible, openly valorizing them on the record before credible is fully tested can prejudge issues and creates a perception that he's already chosen sides. Work ethic versus fairness. Efficiency at all costs. He has repeatedly resisted postponements and scolded defense lawyers for delays, even where delays related to accused rights, legal presentation changes, or counsel's other obligations. There's tensions between his drive to move the trial forward and the constitutional obligation to prioritize fairness over speed. Ethical formulation: it can look like a production line ethic: get this case done rather than get this case right. That's dangerous in a murder trial with a life sentence stakes. What his work ethic really looks like in practice: if we distill everything, Judge Ratta's work ethic is a collusion of three powerful identities: struggle activist, footballer or competitor, old school trial lawyer, believes in rough cross-examination, sharp tongue, and courtroom theater. That is what he believes in. Okay, let's look at his strength. Industrious, few doubt he works hard on his files and follows evidence closely. Engaged, he doesn't sit passively, he interrogates, questions, pushes. Intellectually confident, he's not easily bullied by senior counsel. He challenges them openly on law and facts. They're saying those are his strengths, guys. Capable of introspection, his public apology references even his wife telling him to apologize, shows some personal humility behind the blast. I don't believe that. Never. Weaknesses and ethical risk: temper and ego. This I agree with. The outburst, you shut up moment, and racial comments points to poor emotional regulation. That's an ethical problem because temperament is a core judicial quality. Perceived partiality: consistently praising police and attacking defense creates a pattern that feeds into cause for recusal. Blaring roles: his habit of teaching lawyers a thing or two can cross into active participation, where the judge risks shaping the state's case rather than neutrally assessing it. Language about Black competence: for someone with his struggle credentials, his harsh generalization about Black professionals creates a painful contradiction and undermines the confidence of exactly the people the post-apartheid judiciary is supposed to empower. Balanced, assessment. If we strip away the headlines and look at the pattern, he is not lazy, disinterested, or clueless. He is driven, engaged, and deeply invested in the outcome of cases. But his style, combative, proud, sometimes insulting, bleeds into ethics territory, undermining perceived impartiality, creates a hostile environment for defense, making political and racial comments that have nothing to do with the legal merits. In other words, his work ethic is strong but poorly moderated. The energy and drive that could make him a legendary principal judge are the same traits that now fuel controversy, accusations of bias, and cause for his recusal. That is what we see when we look at Judge Ratha Mogoatleng. This is a man who was a striker, a goal hunter, a man raised in Alexandra and sharpened in Soweto, a footballer who helped create one of South Africa's biggest football dynasties. And today he presides over the most chaotic politically charged murder trial of the decade, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, where he doesn't just judge, he referees every second like it's extra time in a cup final. That is what he does. Yep. He is a man that is from the pitch to the bench. Yep, that is exactly what he does. He is like a referee. He stops the game the moment he thinks something is of object. He interrupts argument. He overrules mid-sentence. Defense cross-examine. He jumps in and corrects them. Witness fumbling. He guides them like coach from the sidelines. That is what he does in that courtroom. It's not quiet judicial supervision. It's full participation. The behavior of someone who refuses to be a spectator, but not in a nice way, okay? He doesn't do it in a nice way. And there was this one that we will never forget. You shut up, the red card moment. That one was a red card. When Advocate Mnisi challenged him, Ratha didn't issue a warning. He issued a verbal red card. You shut up. That wasn't a judicial correction. That was a coach disciplining a player for stepping out of line. It was pure football psychology. Dominate early, crush dissent, establish hierarchy. That's what he did there. He likes excess control. He uses the football style in everything that in court, that looks like what he does, because football teaches passion, passion fuels intensity, intensity fuels domination. In court, that looks like lecture cancel, interrupting cross-examination, reject procedural objections, speak in tones of authority, not neutrality, praising state witnesses before they are fully tested, humiliating defense counsel publicly. This is not a judge who sits back. This is a captain who abuses his power. He is a referee that chooses one side. Every football match has a turning point, and this is the judicial match. That turning point is Brigadier Gininda. Ratha praises Gininda repeatedly, his experience, his knowledge, his integrity, his professionalism, almost like a coach praising his star midfielder. Meanwhile, defense lawyers get scolded, objections crushed, request gets dismissed, procedural rights gets downplayed. It frames perception the judge has chosen his favorite team, and once the referee seems to favor one side, the entire match becomes impossible to play fairly. So that is what Judge Ratha has been doing in that courtroom. That's what he is doing. Judge Ratha, who still hears the roar of the crowd, in his mind, the courtroom is a stadium. The lawyers are players. The accused are defenders. The police are strikers. And he, Judge Ratha Mogoatleng, is the referee, the coach, and the captain all at once. But here's the nuclear truth about what is happening. A football match can be chaotic. A murder trial cannot be. It cannot. A referee can influence a game. A judge must never influence a verdict. A coach can lose his temper. A judge cannot lose his temper. And that is the contradiction of Judge Ruata Mokgoatlheng, a man shaped by football who tries to referee justice in a match where the stakes are life and death. That is what we are dealing with. What are your thoughts when it comes to what I've brought you about Judge Ruata? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.